Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weight, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans. Take it away, Roy.
G'day everyone, it's Roy here from the Caravan Show, and I'm pleased to tell you this morning that I've got Jeff Palmer from Towed with me. So Jeff's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and why he's doing it. But before we get into that, Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you get into towing education?
Okay, good morning all. So it actually was a bit of a pet love or pet hate, I suppose, depending on how you want to put about it. But I actually started doing these courses as a hobby on weekends. It was just something I really enjoyed. Then it's all become part of a full-time part of the business now in all the training that I do. So it is a passion.
Is this your business?
So I have our own business. So the Towed brand name, which is part of Get About Training Services, who are based out of Sydney, they're a national RTO group. So they do have trainers, obviously in the Sydney area. Then they have, we'll call myself a contractor if you want, or representative in every state around Australia.
So RTO, which is Registered Training Organisation, for those of you that's not 100% sure on that one. But what qualified you to be able to be a trainer in this? Is it experience, or have you done a course? Did you have to do a course to be an instructor?
Well, any accredited training, because that's what the obviously a registered training organisation provides. We all have to do our qualifications just like anyone else. So I had to go through the specific course and get those qualifications myself before I could actually train that particular course.
So you're fully qualified to do the job you're doing. You're not just someone they pulled off the street and said, hey, start teaching someone about towing.
That's correct. And as a certified trainer, obviously there's a Cert 4 as a trainer we must have as well, and that keeps changing. We've always got to stay updated with that. And we've also got to always maintain our personal development. So that's a bit of fun. Where can you go and what can you do to keep increasing your knowledge? And that's just working in the industry helps do that as well.
So people doing your course, what exactly do you expect the outcome to be? Like, what are they going to walk away with? What experience or what knowledge are they going to accrue in doing your course?
So the idea of coming through and doing one of our courses, whether the people want to get an accreditation or certificate out of it's irrelevant. Obviously, 90% of people we do get on courses, especially up here, are those with caravans. So they've had no experience. So basically they just want to improve their knowledge, improve their skill level. So when they arrive to the caravan park, that illustrious report card comes out, they don't feel embarrassed about an event or reverse if it goes wrong. They're just trying to get knowledge.
So you're teaching them things about weights and reversing and how to overtake and how to brake properly. How to set up their rigs in the first place. Are these the sort of subjects that you cover? That's
correct. So obviously the training courses of qualification haven't meet the guidelines that the government put in place. So we cover all your reversing, 90-degree, straight reversing. There's forward driving. So obviously we set up a challenge course for that driving, which in the process gives them information on what their trailer is doing behind them. We always cover electric brakes because it's a very important topic. The setup of their vehicle. So we always touch on those weights, the transfer of weight, how weight can affect the vehicle on the road. Obviously mirrors. So we refer to the optimum view we should get, and if we have that, we then should meet the road rule.
Sure. A lot of people think that, hooking up and towing a caravan is just a question of connecting the two devices together and away you go. Like, because I've been driving trucks or I've been driving cars all my life, it's a breeze to do this, but the reality is that actually that's not the case, and in fact, some cases it's almost the reverse of what you've been doing in the past, isn't it?
No, you're very correct. So adding that weight behind us, whether it's 1 tonne, 2 tonne, 3 tonne, it doesn't matter. It really changes the dynamics of your motor car. So we've got to have a good understanding what that dynamic change is.
I've always also been promoting the idea that a husband and wife situation, that in fact both should do the course. My view was purely and simply, if something happened to the main driver and they're out in the middle of nowhere, that other driver at least has the knowledge to do it. But it's often just about confidence as well, isn't it?
Well, it's a very good statement, because most of the ladies come through and I ask them why they're here, that's exactly what they say. Because obviously a lot of retirees are now reaching that time as well, and if the husband falls ill, a little bit unwell, they're in a position where they've still got to keep moving, that she's got the confidence to get behind the wheel and do everything. Yes.
And I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit this because I really don't know the answer, but do you teach them how to change a tyre, for example, a wheel? Or if not, is that something that perhaps could be considered for the future?
All right, so we don't actually go through a wheel change because it is not part of the course. We've also got to be careful how much we do put in a day. It's a very long day as it is, but those sort of aspects are in different training. So if they wanted to do defensive driving or low risk training, which again teach them about their car by itself and aspects on the road, that will pop up in those sort of courses.
So tell us about some of the people that you've had go through the course. Have you had feedback from these owners?
We do get feedback. We do provide them with a form at the end of each day to give us feedback, and obviously that's varied. Everyone's very different on how they approach the information that they get, and on the day we're all very different as people. But no, generally the feedback's very good, and it's something I always try and highlight when you choose a course. A little bit of homework as to where that information is coming from, what's the background of the organisation you're going to choose. So are you getting out of the course also what you went for?
You know, one of the things I would probably on a weekly basis pull over a caravan or on the road, and I'm not joking or exaggerating with this, where they haven't put the little latch back on the ball coupling, or they've left a window open. I pulled someone up the other day, left a door open and was flapping as they were driving along. They leave hatches open, all these sorts of things where they're not doing their checklists, and that makes me then wonder just what other things aren't being checked. So tell us some of your experiences with this sort of thing. I know you've had these experiences and you've seen these things in the past.
So at the end of the day, when we finish off all the exercises and everyone's just settling down to go back home, we do a walk around of the vehicle combination. Pick one of those that are there on the course day. I usually try and pick one that's got more features on it than out of the three that are there. But yeah, so apart from all those lovely acronyms, how should we be setting the van up? What have we got to check as we do that walk around? So the health check, as I refer to it as. So even every time you stop for morning tea, pull up for fuel, do that 6-degree walk around. So you're looking for your tyres, anything that's changed from when you hitched up, everything fallen out, or you stop for morning tea. You've got to remember to put that step back in, as you said. I have notified a few vans on the road I've driven past, the step is out, or the outside table is still down. I've got a photograph of a vehicle, big van in the centre lane of Springwood Highway. Of that table out, yes.
So are you educate them on the laws pertaining to the towing as well? When it comes to weights and lengths and those sorts of things, is there any of that in your course? There is.
So the lovely acronyms, and I'll bring up that phrase, and everyone sort of cringes a little bit. Yeah, so there's still a very, very misunderstanding on how we apply those acronyms to both vehicles.
Yes, and of course this favourite subject of mine is weights and the gross misunderstanding of weights. And I have my own views on why we have that misunderstanding and why it's confusing for people. But when they do talking nothing but acronyms, and we're talking ATMs, GTMs, GCMs, tear weights, ball weights, applied weights, etc., etc. It is a minefield. But in reality, it's actually quite simple to understand the basics. And the most important thing is that we don't go overweight, and probably the one that is the biggest mistake is the combined gross vehicle mass. Is allowing for the fact that your vehicle weighs whatever it does, your caravan weighs whatever it does, and you've really got to combine those two to come up with the correct answer, haven't you?
That's right. So each vehicle's got to meet its 3 compliances in its own right, and then of course once we physically attach them together, that lovely gross combined. It's sometimes hard to find that figure because it's not in the manuals. You've either got to phone the manufacturer, or if you go online, you might be able to find it. So you've got to be very careful. And it has changed over years. It's amazing to see a vehicle with a new model come out. The car hasn't changed, but the gross combined has increased. So how does that work out? But it's a very key one. As we know, there is an event occurring down south at the moment relating to all of this sort of stuff, which industry's waiting for news from.
Yep.
I won't harp on that one anymore, obviously, but yeah, it could dictate where compliance is targeted by our Department of Compliances and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, the most important thing, though, is with regards to this education, and even putting the rules themselves aside, the most important thing is that what we're doing must be done in a safe fashion. So you've got the legalities, but it's really safety first at the end of the day. And some of these things that are being done aren't always safe. So, you know, I guess I would ask, what are the top 3 tips for caravan towing?
All right, so that's a very good one. So, one, we've got to be legal and compliant on the road, 100% correct. But we can actually be safer than just being legal. So what is safe?
Yes.
So the biggest one, which I really push on, and between the vehicles I have, I can actually prove that this physically takes place, is that weight relationship between your tow vehicle and the towed vehicle. Which one should be the heaviest and how much heavier should it be?
Jeff, tell me, what do you think the main cause is? Because we're seeing an increase in rollovers. And I mean, that's in part numbers because there's more caravans on the road, and I get that. But what do you think is probably the main contributing factor to caravan rollovers?
It's an understanding of what you've got on the road. It's an understanding of how you've loaded your trailer. We all know trailers will move on the road. They'll respond to different things on the road. But then does the driver have the skill to respond to that event? So basically, yes, I've watched a lot of those dash cams that we see posted, especially 2 very recently, early this year, up the Sunshine Coast. And what we don't see is the driver trying to do something to correct the problem. And the biggest hint of that is that emergency brake feature, because when we apply the emergency brake, the van's brake lights will come on. They legally have to. So if we don't see any brake lights come on, the driver hasn't responded to the event. So that's education, that's knowledge.
It is. It's a skill thing. I mean, one of the things I do every time my company delivers a caravan, either myself or my son goes with them, and this is the topic that we cover more than anything, is the understanding of pressing that brake button if we start to get some sway happening, but also educating people that you don't normally, well, in fact, you pretty much can't get sway if you're going uphill, and you pretty much don't get sway if you're accelerating. Now, I say pretty much because there are examples where that's not necessarily true, but you definitely won't get sway if you're accelerating and you're pushing that brake at the same time. It's physically not possible to get a sway. So it's about the education. So tell me, Jeff, how does someone book a course with you?
All right, so obviously if they were looking, a lot of people, even our retirees, are internet savvy, I'll use that phrase. So if you just Google towing, the towhead name, luckily we still pop up very, very early at the top of the first page, so that's good. So that'll obviously take us to the head website, which will be under Get About Training, but it has all the links to towhead. They can choose their venue, relevant to which state they're actually in, and then once they pick the state they're in, it simply takes them to all the venues that are being used, and it has the full calendar year events there. So then it's just a matter of ringing the 1300 number that's appropriate. And sorry, I haven't memorised the number. I'd have to pull a business card out to remember what it is. But if there's a date on the calendar that doesn't suit them, they make contact with the office. The office then will contact the local trainer in whichever state he's in, and they'll find a date to suit. So we're very, very open to that. And if any reason, like I've had a few with COVID, they've had to keep postponing, not a problem, not a problem. Okay. We're not harsh on you.
Jeff, coming not harsh on you. What does this course cost?
The cost is per vehicle. So we always encourage 2 drivers, so the husband and wife, right, is $645 per vehicle. We do provide you with a training pack in that as well, so you get the towhead specifically written education booklet. There's all the links to the modern towing DVDs, which were filmed with the towhead group down in Sydney. So there's some good education in those DVDs. So we give you all the links to those now because everyone's internet savvy as well. A lot easier to watch than a DVD. And you do get some theory questions. So we've got to test your knowledge. So obviously there's some road rules in there, but there's also some common sense questions in there.
You know, it's interesting also when we talk in terms of cost and we say, you know, $650 for a course. In fact, that's really not a cost. If you think about it, it's actually an incredibly good investment because the potential of saving you and your property certainly well and truly outweighs the $650 education. And if you divide it between the 2 people, as you've just said, it's per vehicle, actually it's a very inexpensive course that's incredibly vital, I think. So we've been promoting towhead in the past and obviously we'll continue to do so. For those that are looking at the YouTube channel, I'll get Matt when we're finished to actually put some links in so that we can help people direct them to how to make or how to get onto the bookings for your site. Look, you've been incredibly insightful here this morning, Jeff. Thank you very much for coming on the show and parting with some of your knowledge there and telling people how they can get in contact with you. And good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me along.
Ciao for now.
Bye.